What's going on, everybody? Welcome to part 13 of our TicTacToe and Python 3 Basics series. We are coming down the home stretch, but we actually have, we basically have everything that we need done. We just have a lot of polishing and putting together of everything. So, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that we've done is we have done all the code for validating every winner. We just don't have it all together yet. So what I'm going to do is start bringing it all together. So this was code for vertical winner. This here is code for diagonal winners. This was just a quick example of a diagonal winner. And then this was code for horizontal winners. So in fact, let me cut all that. We'll go to the tippity top. Boom. And then we will tab all of this over. And okay, we are all set. I'm just going to leave some notes here for myself. I'm going to say this is horizontal. And then diagonal. And then vertical. Okay. And then the other thing I wouldn't mind doing is, like, when we say we have a winner, it would be actually kind of nice to say, hey, we have a, such and such winner. So, like, for what reason? So instead what I'm going to say is I'm going to make this an F string so we can pass in variables. And we're going to instead say player, and the player is going to be whatever was at row 0 if they won. They're in a lot of locations, but that's good enough. Player is the winner horizontally. Cool. So I'm just going to take that, copy, come. Oh, and you know what? We don't have the checks for the diagonals. We got to add those in too. Can't believe we didn't do this last time. Paste, tab that back, and then paste there if row, and rather than row it needs to be diags. So diags. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. And this is a perfect example of something we absolutely must fix. This is so error prone to be doing this. But first let's fix this, and then we'll go ahead and make the function to fix this. But we will do it, I promise. Okay, so that's done. So this would be player blank is the winner diagonally. And this would be, let's see, which one was this one? So this is, first we're going to do the reversed and then the other way. So reversed would be a regular upwards motion. So I'm going to just put in parentheses a slash like that. So it's like a little more clear. Okay, they won, escalating diagonally. I don't know. I can't think of the right word. Anyways, copy, come down here, tab this over. There we go. Is the winner diagonally? And this one will be a backslash. Now, a backslash in Python is an escape character. So it escapes the value of a different character. So for example, if you wanted to say, let me just do a new thing here. If you wanted to say a string was equal and you wanted to use always double quotes, but then you also had, like, let's do single quotes because it'll make more sense. So single quotes, and then you wanted to say don't, but you wanted the apostrophe T. Well, that's going to be a violation in Python, right? Because you closed it off here and then you've got this T, this thing. So what you can do to make it legal is backslash. You escape the value of that quote, and instead it's just the string element of it. And this makes it valid. And if we were to print string, it would just be don't. It wouldn't be don't backslash, or don backslash quote T quote or whatever. So the same thing is true with the backslash. If you actually want to see a backslash in a string, we're going to do double backslash. So we escape the value of a backslash. So that's why we have two backslashes there. Okay, vertical. And then again, I'm just going to copy this, paste, and it's not check 0, it's not diag 0, it's check 0. Close that off, and this is vertically, and boom. All right. So, and I mean, honestly, we probably don't need anything for vertically, but we have the bar. Now it makes me want to do one for the horizontal, but I don't know. Anyway, let's see. So the next thing that we're going to do is, so we've got all the wins handled for now. So, so now we're ready to bring in the rest of the game. And this is how you would like handle for if a game has been won. And really quick, so we should get a vertical win there. Got a diagonal win. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm so stupid. Okay, now we should get a vertical win. Okay, great. And then let's test a horizontal win. 2, and then we'll put a 2 here. Player 2 is the winner horizontally. Okay, great. So, okay, we've got that. Now we need to bring in all of the game stuff. And we haven't touched game since I believe this was our part 9. So we will open up part 9. And then we're just going to copy and paste game. Well, we'll just copy and paste all this stuff. So the whole game board thing and then some examples of our game board. We're just going to bring all of that in. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to escape this. I'm going to delete win game for now. I'm going to scroll out just so we can do some modifications. Paste that in. So now we've got code to determine a win. That's great. And then now we've got our actual game board in here. So now what we want to do is actually kind of program in the ability for us to like kind of play a game and iterate through and stuff like that. So the first thing I would say is let's just comment these out. I just want them so I don't have to type it in a minute. But basically, we're going to say play is, let's say, equal to true here. And then we're going to say players is equal to, you got like player 1 and 2. And then while play, because basically we would want to let people continue playing tic-tac-toe until they don't want to play tic-tac-toe no more. And so, so we're going to let them do that. Now I'm going to copy this, come down here, while play. Okay, so now the game actually is going to be redefined every time on start, tab over. And actually those should all be zeros. Let's see, is this... Okay, this one's in all zeros, so this might be quicker just to copy and paste this one, to be honest, than to like fix all those. Paste, okay, tab over, great. Somebody was complaining about trailing commas, so I'll fix it. Okay, and then maybe add a couple here, right? Okay, anyway, so while play, okay, so every time we start a new game of tic-tac-toe, we are going to want to reset the game. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to, well, we could randomly pick a starting player if we wanted, but I don't really think you want to necessarily random, like, it's going to cause some trouble later on. We can talk about randomly starting with a player, but you guys, like, whoever's playing the game could also just iterate work that out with each other, who gets to be player number 1 and 2. I don't really think that's essential that we change player 1 and 2. There's really no reason for that. So, but if you want to check it out in the text-based version, I kind of talk about what you could do that to randomly pick. But for now, I don't really think that we're going to do that. So the game begins, and then we want to have, basically we want to say game 1 equals false, right? And then for as long as game 1 is equal false, we want to continue, first of all, switching between players, but also, displaying the game board and inputting and taking in players' movements that they want to actually play. So obviously at the game, because like while play, that means we want to continue playing tic-tac-toe. So this is really like game wide. Like, are we still interested in playing tic-tac-toe? But then we need a loop for the specific tic-tac-toe game that we're playing right now. So then we would say while not game 1. So this will continue to run until the game has been won. And basically at this point, we're going to continue taking in player movements. So for example, if you want to take in input from a user, you are going to use, basically it's, you would say column choice equals, and then input, and then you could say what column do you want to play? And then let's go ahead and just remind them you have 0, 1, and 2. And then for input, always add a little space. Otherwise, when they type something, it's going to, it'll appear immediately after the string. So it's always nice to add a little space there. So that's column choice. We'll copy that, paste, and then we'll do a row choice. Row choice. Also, we want some way to pick a current player and all that, but for now I think I'm going to let that go. We'll just say current player equals 1. We'll come back to that, I promise. So current player, column choice, row choice, and then you would want to let them actually play the game. So we would do this. We would say game equals game board. Rather than game board, that was we used that back when we were trying to purposely throw an error. Player equals, and so again, it's because we have like decently named variables. We don't need to do the whole, you don't have to give the actual parameter name. We'll just pass these variables. So current player, and then we had row choice, and then column choice. Okay, so we play the game, but remember. Before we actually play the game, it would be useful just to display the game board once. Every time this is run, the game board will be displayed. But for now, let's go ahead and copy. And then before the game actually runs, we will go ahead and pass game equals game board. And then it will just continue to keep running. Okay, so... So one option, let's see. So let's go ahead and save this actually. Wow, not. So we'll always be player 1. And then let's try to run it. Now, if I recall right, input in Sublime is doesn't really work. And it still doesn't really work. So we can't use Sublime anymore. We'll have to use the good old command prompt. So cmd pi-3.7 and then tutorial 13.py, hit enter. Okay, what column do we want to play? Let's just play 0. Oh, we said column twice. Okay, so so we made a couple of mistakes. So first of all, we said column. This should be row. And then here, this input returns always a string, because whenever you input something, it doesn't know, is this going to be a float, an int, or whatever. So it's always a string. So now, what we want to do is convert this to an int. We can do that with a built-in function, literally int in parentheses, whatever you want to convert. So I'll just do that, int. So now we've converted it to an integer. I'm going to save that, come back over here. We're going to break out, rerun it with the up arrow, enter. Let's try again. 0, 0. Okay, great. So he played at 0, 0. We could play at 1, 1 now, because it's always going to be player 1 because we're not changing. 2, 2. Okay, great. So that's working pretty well. Now what we want to do is change which user or which player is actually playing. Now there's a bunch of different ways that we could do this, and I think what I'd like to do is just show some examples. So what I'm going to do is just create a new thing. We're going to call it testing grounds or something. We'll open up in Sublime, and I'm just going to clear this out. And so there's like a bunch of different examples of how to change players. So for example, I'm trying to find the way I initially had done it. It's in the text-based version, and now I don't know which one it was. Anyway, but basically what we could search, like let's just search it. So we're looking to let's say rotate between players, or rotate between items in a list. So like rotate between items in a list, Python. Okay, Python list rotation is the first thing that comes up. Rotate 0, rotate 1. So this actually appears to be rotating the list. Oh, this is pseudocode. Yeah, you wish. Okay, I was like, I've never seen that. Okay, this is some pretty curious looking code. We'll continue running. Okay, day Q. There is a rotate here, and you can rotate it by 1. But this seems to be like more for like longer lists. So like, what if we typed Python flip between, we could do 0 and 1. We don't really want 0 and 1. We want 1 and 2, but we could always add +1. So we scroll down. Yeah, okay. You could do that. 1 minus val would get you where you wanted to be. That's kind of funny. And then you could use true or false. Yeah, that's still not quite what I'm looking for. So that one's kind of curious. So like, what if we, like, let's go to the testing ground here. Let's say we have players equals list. It's 1. And actually, we need to use 0 and 1 here. And actually, probably not 0 and 1. We probably need to use, 1, 0. So what this is going to do is this is going to kind of abuse the fact that it's going to abuse the fact that we want to use 0 and 1. And then we can use the fact that 1's index is 0 and 0's index is 1. So what if we said for I in range 10? We'll just, normally this would be like a while true loop. So like this would be our TicTacToe loop, but for now we'll just go through 10 iterations. We could say, let's say current player equals 1. So current player equals 1. Or let's say, in fact, let's say choice equals 1. Then what we could say is we'll say current player equals choice plus 1, because that's actually, like, we always have to add 1 in this case. So we could print current player, but then we can say choice equals players with the index of choice. So run that, and you'll see here we're going to iterate between player 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And if we didn't add 1, it would be 0 and 1. Maybe that would be a little more clear to everybody. So that's one way. We could just iterate between players every single time. So that's an option. And let's come back here. I'm just kind of looking through. Okay. So then flip between 0 and 1, Python, let's see, cycle values in list starting at a certain element. I'm not sure if that would be useful, but what I'm looking for, right. So what I was looking for was Itertools has a method called cycle. So we can use .cycle, and what that's going to do, and I'm trying to see. So the term I had originally searched was actually Python flip between numbers. We'll see if this will come up with the same one. Scroll down. Okay, yeah. So this is the one I had found. And I had actually never heard of Itertools.cycle because as I was writing my method of doing it, the way I was doing it was so ugly that I was like, surely there's a way. And then also I was like, surely there's a way to like actually like rotate. So we've seen, I think it was it day Q? I forget which one it was that we found before that actually has a way to rotate, and then you could always use like the index of 0 or something like that. But so coming on, let's see. So let's try using Itertools cycle. So looking down here, you can import cycle. This is just a range of 2, so that would be like 0, 1 basically. They're calling .next on. Now, with my experience, I know that's not going to work anymore. But let's try how we would actually like do that. So the other option we would have is import Itertools. And then we could say player choice equals Itertools dot cycle, and then we're going to cycle between player 1 and 2 because we can. And then for I in range of, let's say, 10, what could we do? Well, we could just print player choice dot next. Now, I already know this is not going to be happy, but let's say you get this error, right? And don't forget, like, this stuff is sublime, really. If we ran this in a console, we would see this. So I understand what this means, but you might not. So again, you copy that error, come over here, paste it in, go to this first option. Who cares what they're doing? Let's just look at this guy's, what he has to say. Okay, .next was removed in Python 3. Use next iter instead, right? So then he says all you have to do is take .next and then convert it to next as the built-in function that it is. So let's do that. So let's just say we get rid of .next, and then we print instead next player choice. Boom. Okay, so that works, and that's actually much more condensed than what we were writing anyways. So that's pretty good. I think that's what I would go with. I think that makes the most sense. The only confusing thing maybe is next, but all next does is does the next thing in an iterable. So for example, if I said actually let's leave that code there because we're gonna use it pretty soon probably. So I'm gonna do this. If I said x equals range 5, print next x. Oh, I thought that was gonna work. Oh, we can't. Fine. Okay, we should be able to convert it to a list though. No, you're still not gonna let me do that. Okay. We have to iterate over the next. Anyway, this is beside the point. I'm not gonna go down that route. But anytime you have an iterator, it's not the same as an iterable. That's the mistake I'm making here. You can just use the next to grab the next value from it. But anyways, let's go back to the tutorial here. And so to actually like pick our player, we're just going to say, let's say player choice equals Itertools. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and this is our iterable. Under the rarest of circumstances, I will go back and edit a video, and this is one of them. So, the question of iterator versus iterable is the type of thing that's going to show up on a test to do like a gotcha moment, basically. So I think it's pretty important that we cover and understand this. So first of all, an iterable, this is a thing we can iterate over, okay? Now an iterator, this is a special object with next method, okay? So now iterable is iterable, an object. Everything in Python's an object. So a list, that's a list object. It is an object. But iterator, the thing to keep in mind is it has some extra little methods associated with it that, one, you can use next, but two, also have a stop iteration. And this is what's going to, it's just a major difference that depending on your use case, you may or may not want it. So for example, let's just go over a couple examples real quick. So let's say X is a list. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This iterable. Is it an iterator? No, not an iterator, because we can't do print next X, right? We can't do that. But we can, for I in X, print I, right? We can iterate over it, no problem. So that is an iterable. Now recall, what we're showing here is import Itertools, and then down here, let's say, we'll call, let's say n equals Itertools.cycle x. Now this is iterator for sure, right? We're pretty confident if we're doing something with Itertools on it, it's probably an iterator. So it should have a next method. So let's just print next n. Run that. Okay, we get a 1. Now, what if we do 2 next ends? So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, it's remembered where it is. But what if we continued to do this? Copy, paste, 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 paste. Interestingly, we get multiple cycles through here because this thing basically infinitely cycles. So the next question is, well, is it iterable? For I in n, print I. Looks like it is, just forever, because it cycles on and on and on. So also, iterable. Now, what if we don't really want to do that? Like, what about x? So we've already established that x is not, while it's iterable, it is not an iterator. Can we make it an iterator? Absolutely, using a built-in function called iter. So we could say y equals iter x, and then the question is, what if can we iterate over y? For I in y, print I. And you see, okay, it appears that we're still able to iterate over y. So yet again, it is an iterator, also iterable. But then the question is, what about here? What about after? Like, what if we try to do it twice? You see, we can't actually do that. And also, for example, we could, let's print, and in fact, let's not even print next. So first of all, actually, we'll do it for now. We'll say print next y. Okay, you see 1, and you're going to see the same thing that we saw 1, 2 with cycle. But the interesting thing too is you could say next y, but then for I in y, print I. So what you're going to see now is it says 2, 3, 4, because we actually, because it's an iterator, we did the next here, and now the only remaining elements are 2, 3, and 4. And then it's done. You can no longer continue to iterate over y. You've reached the end of, you've reached this stop iteration. So the big thing to take home here is it's like, you can iterate over iterators. With the iterable, it's not necessarily an iterator, but some iterators can be iterable. Okay, and the big thing to take away, iterable, it's literally, can we iterate over it? And iterate as in like with a for loop or something like that. So anything you can do, a string, a list, these kinds of things are iterable, but they're not iterators. And the thing with an iterator is it comes with the special next method, also the stop iteration, and you'll get this kind of behavior from it. You reach an end, typically, because again, this is an iterator, also an iterable, and as you saw, it goes on forever because it's just a cycle, right? There is no stop iteration; it just goes back to the beginning. All right, bonus material for you guys. So, anyways, player choice equals Itertools.cycle. So then, current player, well, in this case, we just need to always call next player choice. And now we have our next player. So let's go ahead and test that real quick. Break this, run that. Oops, we didn't import Itertools. Let's go do that. Come up to the top. Import Itertools. Go ahead and save it. We'll come back over here, run it again. Okay, well, so player, we're not printing out what player we are. We'll do that again too. Let's just do 1, 1. Okay, you can see that it switched players, but we should also probably print out which player we are. So we'll come back down here. Current player equals next. So print F. What have I done? Oh, F. There we go. Current player, and then this will be current player. Okay, save that. Let's run it one more time. Current player is 1, 0, 0. Okay, then 1, 1. Okay, so we can see current player 2 plays. Okay, great. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop it here. This is getting pretty long already. And we still have quite a few things to do. For example, where players can still play on top of each other. So for example, player number 1 could now play over 1, 1, and they just took that spot. Which is kind of funny, but obviously we don't want to let that be happening. We're not actually using our win here. We've got a lot of repetition. Also, where's our little lovely print? This is not scalable, and probably a couple other things that I'm not thinking about. So we still have A few more things that we need to clean up, but I'm hoping that I can do all of it in the next video if I don't let myself get hung up on trying to show you guys an iterable. Okay, so questions, comments, concerns, whatever, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, I'm going to see you guys in the next video.